welcome back to my channel. My name is Paola. Today I thought it would be fun to do a bit of a 2024 reading survey using a mix of tags. So the first tag that I used was the mid-year book freakout tag, and the second one was the reading survey that Kayla from Books and Lala did back in 2021, I want to say. I will leave a link to that video down below in case you're curious. But because this is a mix of two tags, I decided to break it down into different categories. And so without any further ado, let's jump in. First up, very important, a little table of context. Because I divided this into parts, we have 5 of them. Starting with my reading, the first question is, how did your reading go? And the answer is, it went extremely well, much better than I expected. And that is only because I sat down to do this survey. Otherwise, I don't think I would have found out just how well the reading went. Question number 2, how many books and pages did you read in 2024? Thank you for asking. I read 86 books, which means I read a total of 25,398 pages. If we break it down into months, I read 5 in January, 7 in February, 5 in March, 13 in April, 8 in May, 4 in June, 14 in July, 1 in August, 3 in September, 12 in October, 7 in November, and 8 in December. In terms of format, this is a little bit weird, so I'll explain. So my audiobooks were 30.2% of what I read, 25.6% were digital books, 29.1% were digital and audiobooks. So these were books that I had on either my Kindle or my eARCs or on my Kobo that I also got help with the audio, which was so good. I struggled a lot with my focus this year, and so having the text, whether digital or physical, as well as the audiobook really helped me read. And in terms of physical percentages, 1.2% were physical books only, and 14% were physical and audiobooks. In terms of ownership, I owned a grand total of 43% of the books that I read, 22.1% books I did not own, 20.9% were eARCs, which at this point would be books that I owned, but I still like to make that distinction. And 14% were of my advanced listening copies that I all got from Libro FM. Number 3, what was my most read genre? I had 3 main genres, but here is the main pie chart made up of contemporary romance, contemporary, erotica, fantasy, historical fiction, horror, memoirs, mystery, nonfiction, poetry, contemporary fantasy, romantic suspense, paranormal, and dystopian. Those last 3 are the ones that don't really get a label because their slices are teeny weeny. But yeah, my top 3 were obviously contemporary with a grand total of 24 books, contemporary romance with a grand total of 16 books, and fantasy with a grand total of 9 books. Question number 4, what was your biggest reading accomplishment? In my opinion, I had 2 really big reading accomplishments, and they were the Latinx Book Bingo and the Audiobook Champion Challenges. I hadn't read that much in Latinx Book Bingo in a really long time, pretty much since it started. But for the Audiobook Champion Challenge, all I wanted was to get those 3 extra audiobook credits that in the end I didn't get, but I'm still really happy that I got to make a dent in my ALC TBR. Question number 4, best and worst reading months. In terms of numbers only, my best reading month was April with a total of 13 books, and my worst reading month would have been August with just 1 book. On to part 2, the superlatives. Number 1, favorite 2024 release. Hands down, for sure, This Is Me Trying by Raquel Marie. Superlative number 2, your favorite older title. I have 2. Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Basterrica and The Marrow Thieves by Sherry D. Malign. At this point, I have already talked about this book, so I won't go too deep into them. Solid dystopias. Please go check them out if you haven't already. Best sequel. Hands down, Hunting by Stars by Cherie Maline. This is another one where I won't go too deep into because I already talked about this in my previous videos. But holy shit, please go read this duology. It is phenomenal. Number 4, your favorite reread. Mine was The Subtweet by Vivek Shreya. Solid contemporary about friendship and industry, capitalism, representation, and what that means in the music industry or in the entertainment industry at large. Fantastic book. I really loved that I got to reread it. The biggest surprise for me, it was once again Tender is the Flesh and the Marrow Thieves by Cherie Maline. Number 6, a book that lived up to the hype. Again, I have 2. Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Basterrica. This one specifically, my Latinx friends loved it, and so I was not necessarily apprehensive in terms of will I like it or not, but just in like, because this book was marketed as horror, I didn't really know the kind of things that I was going to be going into when I read this book, but holy shit, it is so good. And the other one is a lot more of a modern classic. This is Judy Blume's Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. This was so sweet, very short as well. The narration was incredible. I need to reread this book immediately. Number 7, a book that made you cry. Hands down, This Is Me Trying by Raquel Marie. I have always cried when I'm reading Rocky's books, and I hope that streak doesn't end with If We Survive This. Number 8, a book that made you happy. I have 2 books for this, and one is Our Way Back to Always by Nina Moreno, and the other one is Love of the Record by Samantha Markham. Number 9, what's a new release you didn't read but you want to? Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid. I have read every single one of Ava's novels and love them all. I really love Ava's writing, Ava's plots, Ava's characters. Question number 10, the most beautiful book you bought this year. The answer to that are all books by Biano Onyomo, all of which she designs and illustrates herself. So we got Portal to Pleasure, Cupid Calling, The Aurora Circus, Sweet Surrender, and Blood, Flesh, and Magic. Number 11, the book with the most surprising moment. Hands down, To the Hilt by Bryn Renee. I can't say anything else. Just know that this book is erotic horror, and it is so true to its genre. It's so good. Number 12, the book you pushed the most people to read. Well, this is awkward because I did not do any book influencing this year, I don't think. But these are the books that I really want people to read right now. So, first up, we got Love Boat Taipei by Abigail Hingwen, Lulu and Milagros Search for Clarity by Angela Velez, and This Is Me Trying by Raquel Marie. These are coming-of-age stories featuring messy and angsty main characters. Leap, illustrated and written by Simina Popescu, and Huda FRU, written and illustrated by Huda Fami. These are coming-of-age graphic novels with also really messy protagonists. Our Way Back to Always by Nina Moreno, and Love of the Record by Samantha Markham. Again, solid young adult romances. Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Basterrica, and The Marrow Thieves and Hunting by Stars by Cherie Maline. These are spine-chilling dystopians. I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you think you've read good dystopias, no you haven't. Read these books. Till the Last Beat of My Heart by Luangi Beaumontes and Undead Girl Gang by Lily Anderson. These are all about teens and necromancy. The Color Purple by Alice Walker and 10 Days with a Duke by Erica Ridley. These are historical fiction, and they're both really different from one another, but they are both, in fact, historical fiction. To the Hilt by Bryn Renee and Sunny Days by Jack Hartbun. These are short and steamy horror stories. To the Hilt is, I think, under 50 pages, and Sunny Days is under 80 pages, I think. So really short, and yes, really steamy. We Came to Welcome You by Vincent Tirado, suburban horror. So good. Please go read this. If you buddy read this, it is also a fantastic experience. I got to read this one with Colleen, and we loved it. That Can Be Arranged by Huda Fami. It was written and illustrated by Huda Fami. This is a graphic memoir. So funny, so good. Forest of Noise by Mosab Abu Toha. This is Palestinian poetry. Incredible, exquisite, really musical. Highly recommend the audiobook for this one. Louise Erdrich's The Round House. This is Ojibwe literary fiction. It's like murder mystery and coming of age. And last but certainly not least, Racial Innocence by Tania Cateri Hernandez. This is nonfiction, and it's all about unmasking Latino anti-Black biases and the struggle for equality. Number 13, my series. I started 5 whole series. Holy shit, I cannot believe this. Anyway, Love Boat Taipei by Abigail Hing Wen, Louise Erdrich, The Roundhouse, 10 Days with a Duke by Erica Ridley, Flame in the Mist by Renee Adier, and Burn for Burn by Siobhan Vivian and Jenny Han. The ones that I will continue or that I'm thinking about continuing are Love Boat Taipei, The Roundhouse, and 10 Days with a Duke. And the ones that I won't continue are Flame in the Mist and Burn for Burn. The series that I kind of started and continued all in the same year are Dumpling and Pumpkin by Julie Murphy, Who the F Are You and Who the F Cares by Huda Fami, and Dash and Lily's Book of Dares and 12 Days of Dash and Lily by Rachel Kahn and David Levithan. And I finished all of these series. This is so impressive to me. Anyway, I read all 3 books in the Beards and Bondage series by Rebecca Weatherspoon. I read the final book in the Lick Club series by Naima Simone. This one is called Only for You. I read the 2 books available in the Marrow Thieves universe by Cherie Maline. The last book in the original Grishaverse Shadow and Bone trilogy called Ruin and Rising. I read the Six of Crows duology and the final book in the Three Dark Crown series. Part 3, authors. Question number 1, favorite new author. And question number 2, favorite writing of the year. The reason why I put them together is because they have the same answer, and it is Cherie Maline. I read The Marrow Thieves and Hunting by Stars. Spectacular, spectacular pieces of writing. Highly recommend both of these. Number 3, my most read authors. So there's a 3-way tie, or a 4-way tie actually, but the most read author, number 1 for sure, was Morgan Matson. I read 4 of her books. Next was Huda Fami. Then we got Kendar Blake, Lee Bardugo, and finally Rebecca Weatherspoon. Question number 4, the new to me versus the read before authors. This was a pretty even split, which was surprising to me. Again, if it wasn't for this survey, I never would have monitored these statistics, but the new to me authors made up 51.2% and the read before authors made 48.8%. Part 5, the characters. Number 1, my favorite characters. French and the Found Family in The Marrow Thieves, 3 and Win in Love of the Record, Celie and Shug Avery in The Color Purple, Sophie and Ever in Love Boat Taipei, Santiago and Beatriz in This Is Me Trying, with a really special honorable mention for Whitney and Olive. Till the Last Beat of My Heart by Luan Jimbo Montes, specifically Christian and Jackson, Christian being the love interest and Jackson being the protagonist. And in Undead Girl Gang, I love every single one of these girls. Number 2, my least favorite characters. Martin in Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda. Oh my god, I get that he's a kid, but he's such a little shit. What a coward. What a coward. I hate him so much. And Ellie in Love of the Record. Oh my god, if we're talking about cowards, she, I don't know, outing someone is very different from the kind of thing that Ellie gets up to in Love of the Record. I think I hate them both equally. Part 5, goals. This was all about the books that I would be prioritizing, and I have a video coming soon about that. It is the final video in the 12 Days of Bookmas series, so stay tuned for that. Alrighty, so that is it for today's video. If you haven't already and you'd like to, go ahead and hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!